Hi. Back in the 1800s, during the gold rush, when there was a huge influx of new people coming into these really small mining towns, the business owners and shop owners would throw up these things called facades. And what basically that is, just a big wall that made of thin wood and paint that made their small, dingy business look like it was a respectable, really nice building or a hotel or something. And you would come in and you would realize, behind this thin wall of wood and paint and cheapness is this really dingy, small little building. And I think there's a powerful lesson there in life. That kind of thing happens all the time, and I think that is very prevalent in the medical establishment. They want you to believe that there's something that they're not. They want you to think that their way is the only way. Whether they believe that, I don't really know, or whether it's just born out of extreme arrogance on their part, I don't know. But I believe there's a place for the things they offer, but whatever they tell you, whatever you're coming to them for, always take it with a grain of salt. And do your own research. Don't just, blindly follow what they say. And Alzheimer's and dementia and age-related mental decline is no different. They want you to believe, they want to sell you their thing, and as the only thing that they can do. And they'll say, oh, well, there's been no evidence. They say that about everything. The first thing they'll try to sell you is Nivolin or Razidine. Now that is basically galantamine. And they'll tell you that drug, or those drugs under those different pharmaceutical names, started in the 1950s. It didn't. Nivolin and Razidine and a whole host of other names is basically a name for a drug called galantamine that goes back thousands of years to the time of the Greeks. It is derived from the snowdrop plant, or the genus Galanthus plant. And I looked online, Nivolin, I was just browsing just for curiosity. Nivolin sells, one website I found, you can buy 30 capsules for 8 milligrams for $142.50. I bought galantamine, 30 capsules, 8 milligrams, same exact dose, at smartpowders.com for $12.99. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about galantamine. It is derived from the snowdrop plant and some other plants. It is a little substance, and what it does is it's very potent. It works on the nicotinic and acetylcholine receptors in the brain. And that's really important for mental function and also important for people who have a decline in acetylcholine. What it does is, the mode of action is, it is a powerful acetylcholine esterase blocker. And now, esterase, what that is, it basically is, it's an enzyme that degrades your neurotransmitters. Now, that might sound like a bad thing, like degrading your neurotransmitters, but it's important to keep proper levels of all your neurotransmitters. You don't just want unchecked growth, where it just keeps building and building and building and building and building. For a healthy adult, normal person, these enzymes, neurotransmitters get produced and then degraded, and it keeps them at a constant level. The reason that it's important to block the action of that enzyme, is when you have a deficiency. It's a very potent brain-enhancing drug. It blocks that enzyme, and it improves the function of acetylcholine, which is very, very beneficial for people with Alzheimer's. And I say, don't even go to the drug company or any online pharmacy. You can get that stuff online, very cheap. It's the same exact product, and it's been around for thousands of years. It was referenced in, historians believe it was even referenced in Homer's Odyssey, which is thousands and thousands of years old. He referenced a plant called Moly, M-O-L-Y, and that is believed to be the same plant that this is derived from, and it even talks about the memory-enhancing properties. The next supplement I'm going to talk about, not quite as historic, but it's called acetyl L-carnitine. Now, don't let the name fool you. Basically, what that is a simple amino acid, carnitine. Carnitine is in meat and other things, and it has a very important metabolic function. What acetyl-L-carnitine means is it is undergone a process where it makes it more bioavailable. It's called acetylation, and that's where the acetyl part comes from. Now, acetyl-L-carnitine is different than just plain old carnitine because it has a different function. It is able to cross into the blood-brain barrier, the BBB, very, very well. And what it does in terms of cognitive enhancement is it donates, you see the molecule, the L-carnitine molecule, it donates the acetyl part to form acetylcholine. And acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter involved in learning and memory and things like that. So very important. Now here's a note. And I've been taking acetyl-L-carnitine for years, on and off whenever I have the money. You want to get a good quality acetyl-L-carnitine. Now the best, I've tried various forms. The best I've found so far is GNC. You may find a better version, but it's the most potent and absorbable, it feels like to me. And another important note, you want to make sure acetyl-L-carnitine is also paired with alpha-lipoic acid. Now what is alpha-lipoic acid? It is a potent antioxidant, and it's almost like the master antioxidant. And what it does is it actually causes antioxidants to regenerate. So, and not just any particular one. I mean, it regenerates vitamin C, vitamin E, acetyl-L-carnitine. It keeps recirculating that. And I remember the first couple of times I took acetyl-L-carnitine. I had these weird experiences, these interesting experiences. A couple hours later, they say that smell is, powerful, has a powerful effect on memory. Well, I remember, like after taking it for the first time, I would smell something, and the only way I could rephrase it is like memory flashbacks. I would smell something, and it would vividly bring back a memory that I hadn't thought about in 30 years. I'm 38 right now, and I hadn't thought about something in over 3 decades, and I would vividly remember it. And I did some research. Acetyl-L-carnitine has a potent action on the mitochondria of the brain, and what it does is it kind of mops up that metabolic waste that builds up in your brain cells, so it helps them function a lot better. And these memory flashbacks I told you about, my mom even had those experiences, and my brother too, independent of each other, and other people who I've recommended it to. It's almost something I take for granted now after living with it for so long. But galantamine is great. Acetyl-L-carnitine is great. The next one we're going to talk about is huperzine A, and it's similar to galantamine. It's a milder version of the acetylcholine esterase blocker, and it's derived from this plant called the fir moss. And again, you can buy this in a lot of stores. It is good, but if you're really experiencing, like Alzheimer's, it might not be as potent as you need. It might be good for people who just want to improve their, everyday people who want to improve their learning. The next thing I'm going to talk about is something you probably have right now in your kitchen. It's called turmeric, and that is a spice. It's a very rich colored spice, and it's from India, and it's been around for a long, long, long time. It's great for breaking up amyloid beta plaque in the brain, which is plaque that builds up and contributes to Alzheimer's. Now, why is that important? Because breaking that up improves brain function. And now the problem with turmeric is it's really hard to absorb. Now, from my own personal experience and just experimenting in the kitchen, I've found the best way to absorb turmeric is to take a couple of eggs, crack them open, put them in a blender, put your turmeric in there, and then you're going to want to take some extra virgin coconut oil, like a couple of spoonfuls of it. You're going to want to make sure it's not solid. It's liquid, obviously, like warm to, it liquefies pretty easily, almost at room temperature. It'll be liquid. Put them in there together, and then spin it up and turn it on and just really blend them together. I have found that it just really, when you bind it with a fat, it, it, it seems to get into your intestines and just absorb so much more. And turmeric is just a wonderful brain enhancer, and just super for your health. And that dovetails right into the next supplement, coconut oil. Coconut oil is fantastic, especially for brain function. It's a medium-chain fatty acid, and that is important because us Americans, and most people in the world, have a terrible diet. Terrible, and we don't get nearly enough fat. And fat is extremely important for you. Our brains are mostly fat, and coconut oil is just really good for improving brain function. It can be used as brain fuel even. And I've researched studies they've done with people with Alzheimer's, and they've done cognitive tests on them, and then given them just a couple of spoonfuls of coconut oil, and just a couple hours later they scored significantly higher on the exact same test that they were given. I mean, it is a very awesome supplement. Now you want to make sure that it's extra virgin coconut oil. Don't skimp. Don't go to the store and get yourself some cheap, Luana coconut oil. It's got to be extra virgin coconut oil. And if it doesn't smell like coconut oil, there's your tip. It needs to smell like coconuts, and that's really good. The next couple of things I want to talk about is DMAE. DMAE is short for dimethyl amino ethanol. Now, what is that, and why is that important for you? Well, that is an amine alcohol, and what that basically means is it's a derivative of nature that I told you about choline before. I mentioned choline. The problem with taking a lot of choline supplements, like choline bitartrate and others, is that it's very poorly absorbed into the body. But when you take dimethyl amino ethanol, it's absorbed so much more. And in fact, it's a different mode of absorption, because it's not really even giving you choline. It's actually causing your body to produce its own choline. It goes to the liver, and then it causes the liver to produce more choline. And I'm of the belief that brain health and liver health are interconnected, and one can't exist without the other. You improve one, you improve the other. I remember, I used to be an alcoholic, and I cured myself through nutrition. And I remember when I was, struggling and going through that process, I remember taking DMAE. And I remember sometimes after a night of drinking, I would take it before bedtime, and I would wake up with such mental clarity. It was bizarre. It was almost like I hadn't drank a drop of alcohol at all. I don't recommend you doing that. Alcohol is an extreme poison on every system of the body. But I just wanted to show you the powerful effect of DMAE. And again, there's many various forms. You can buy them a lot of different places, and I'll try to include some links to different resources in this description. The next supplement I want to talk about is centrophenoxin, and it kind of dovetails from DMAE, and it's called centrophenoxin, and it's basically DMAE bound with an acid that basically, first of all, it increases absorption, but it also modifies the mode of action, because it's substantially different than DMAE. It's interesting because it's great for brain function for a couple of reasons. One, it improves the glucose and oxygen uptake. It's very potent, and it's very good for brain function. Also, it's great for removing potassium buildup in the body. And now, why is that important? Potassium buildup in the body accumulates over a lifetime, and it manifests itself in things like liver spots. Have you ever seen an older person with liver spots in their hands? That is lipofuscin. That's called lipofuscin, and that is basically garbage, waste that's built up in the body because of the process of aging. And an interesting thing about lipofuscin, it doesn't just happen on the skin. That's the only place it's really visible. It occurs in every organ of the body, including the brain. And centrophenoxin has this unusual, amazing ability to remove that lipofuscin from the brain, and it really improves mental function tremendously. And they've done research with rats and humans. Like with rats, just with after a few weeks of supplementation with centrophenoxin, they improved. They had 28 to 42% reduction in lipofuscin. Now, I think that is amazing. And that, I mean, can you imagine if they had kept it going week after week after week? I mean, it's remarkable. So those are the supplements I wanted to talk to you about: galantamine, acetyl L-carnitine, huperzine A, the spiced turmeric, extra virgin coconut oil, DMAE, and centrophenoxin. Now, I know there's some other ones I wanted to talk about, but I don't want to, give you information overload right now. If you have any comments or questions, if you have any further questions even on the subject, please let me know. Message me or comment below. I'd love to talk to you about it, and I hope you learned something. Thank you very much. Have a great day.